Hello, and thank you for joining us for Tiger Talk TV. I'm Jeremy Williams, the superintendent, and I have with me a guest this week, Amanda Peterson, the assistant principal for Maytech. So welcome, Amanda. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to talk about ALC programming and alternative learning today, but before we get to that, I have a few just updates I'd like to share with the community. The first thing I want to talk about a bit is the events with the threats that took place recently at our high school and at our middle school. Threats like that, they're unfortunate. They raise anxiety amongst the community, amongst staff, community members. I just want to address it a bit. We have a great relationship with the local police department. They're very supportive. We have to work together very closely, and that's helped us a lot through this as we're looking at these reports of vandalism, determining what's going on with the threat. Is it credible? Is it not credible? And how to respond. I also want to say an appreciation to our community for their support and sharing any information they had that helped us within our response measures as we're determining next steps, trying to keep communication out with that. I do want to share with the community, social media is, it's a blessing and it's a challenge sometimes. Certainly going through an event like that, social media is an obstacle with those cases. Misinformation spreads very quickly. And it's hard to stay on top of that as we're working on coordinated communication measures to get out to share with the community what's going on. Want to support the community and just remind you that we will be sharing information in any situation like that. As soon as we have things to share, we're sharing out with the community, students, staff, and just ask stakeholders to rely on our communications for the truth and what's going on in those matters, because we will communicate things as we have them. I also want to take a minute and talk about new positions. So we've recently posted a bunch of positions for next year, starting to think about next year what our needs are within our schools. We've got a number of positions that are available. They went live today. We post them. So licensed positions. We also have a lot non-licensed positions, paras, aides, cafeteria workers, bus drivers. There's all sorts of positions available. We need a lot of help in the school in different areas. Some of these teaching positions are out, or positions open for next year. So I encourage people to go to our website and the school website and look at the open positions. And if you have any interest in coming and teaching with us, we certainly would encourage people to apply. Some of the things that we posted this year we're really excited about. We're adding some positions at our middle school for next year. Some areas that we haven't had classes with for a while. We're adding a family and consumer science class for next year, and an ag class. We'll be looking at some career and college development things as we're working on our CTE project. So those positions went live yesterday, and if you know anyone that's licensed in those areas or has interest in those areas, or if you're interested, I encourage you to either call the school or go on our website, check that out, and see what's out there. A few other announcements. Preschool, that's just the time of year. It's hard to believe that we're already to spring and things are, it still feels a little wintry, but we're getting to spring and things are starting to roll with thinking about next year. So registration for preschool is open for 3 and 4-year-old programs. We've got offerings next year are going to look just like they do this year. We have the same kind of classes running. We do have 2 classrooms within our preschool program that have bilingual staff members. We have 6 3-year-old preschool classes and 9 4-year-old preschool classes that are open. So if you have someone in that age group, a child in that age group, registration's live for that. You can go on our website or call the school and talk about that. Of course, after preschool, we have kindergarten registration. It's time for kindergarten registration for next year too. So that live registration is open. Hosting an annual open house, kindergarten roundup, that's going to take place on Thursday, March 3rd, starting at 4:30, and that's at Parkside Elementary. So if you have a kindergartner or potential kindergartner for next year, I encourage community members to touch base with the school or sign up for that registration open house on March 3rd. A couple other things taking place. We talk about every month what's going on in all of our schools and exciting events. And I don't know if Maytech did anything with the Olympics, but our elementary schools and our middle school really focused on. It's fun to have an event like that. So they looked at the Olympics events, and we had a lot of things take place in the Phi Ed classrooms related to Olympics. We had opening ceremonies that happened, and we had some replicated events that took place. So we had a lot of fun with that, connecting real life learning to classroom learning for our kids. So
yes, our math teacher at Maytech did some stuff with her geometry class, and they played the Math Olympics.
Math Olympics.
Yeah.
Awesome. So it's fun to make those connections with things going on in the world with our kids in the classrooms. So
absolutely.
That's been a fun thing taking place. I also want to highlight, we've talked a lot this year about CTE programming, adding that. We're going to talk a little bit about that when we get to the questions or conversation a little bit. But this past Monday, we had a workshop. It was President's Day, so we had no no class for kids, but it was workshop day for teachers. So I know Amanda and then Brian from the high school and Travis, they worked with Renee Jenigas. She's our Work Learn coordinator. You guys had Renee, she contacted local businesses and you brought some teachers to businesses, did some tours. Can you just share a little bit about that, Amanda?
Yeah, absolutely. So we took, we had 5 different sites that we went to. We were able to go in and learn more about some of the jobs in our community. We split our staff up, so we had anywhere from 6 to 8 staff at each of the sites. We visited the Visit Marshall at the Red Baron. We went to Marshall Radio. We were able to connect with the Marshall Animal Clinic. ADM had some tours, and of course I'm going to draw a blank on our last one here.
Action Manufacturing.
Action Manufacturing, thank you. Excuse me. And we picked all of those based on our career wheels that we're working on through our programming with our career technical education. And so each one of those businesses offered a part of our career wheels, from manufacturing, construction trade, health industry. So it was a great opportunity. We had staff come back on Wednesday at the high school, and they visited about what they learned and what they saw and how they can take that back to their classrooms. And the Maytech staff will be doing that next week at our meeting. So we're going to keep the ball rolling with getting our staff out to the community, see what our community has to offer, and how we can help bridge that gap with our kids and that grow your own model
Absolutely. So we think about our CTE, our college preparedness focus and classes and such for students. It's not just students, we're focusing with our staff members as well and helping them to see some of the opportunities so they can come back and share some of it with the kids. So that's part of the work, and that Work Learn coordinator with Renee coming on board this last year. It's a big part of her work is working with staff as well as with students. That was a fun opportunity. We hope to continue some of those for our teachers. And
we're also working to bring those businesses into our classrooms too. So Renee has been starting to have some conversations with our staff and how we can bridge and get some of the community employers into our schools too and talk directly to our kids.
Yeah, absolutely. So business owners, anyone who's watching this or has interest in maybe being part of that, learning more about it, you can call our high school office or you can call Maytech office and connect with them. They can hook you up with Renee, and we'd love to have businesses be part of that conversation if someone isn't already. The last announcement I have today before we get to talk about ALC programming, but Marshall High School Athletic Hall of Fame Banquet is going to be taking place April 23rd. It's going to be at the Marshall Golf Club, and tickets are available now. You can call the high school office for that as well and get a ticket. We have 6 new inductees to the Athletic Hall of Fame that will take place this year. That ceremony did not happen last year with some COVID things, so we're excited to have that again this year. All right, Amanda, let's talk a bit about alternative learning. So why don't you just start and share a little bit with our viewers about alternative education, explain what a state-approved alternative program, what is that?
Yeah, so alternative ed, or alternative education, is a different pathway to help our students meet graduation requirements. Sometimes the more traditional model of education doesn't work, or maybe our students have some at-risk factors that are just making them struggle more with what a traditional process might look like. And so alternative education allows that opportunity to be more flexible and work with the child and help them where they're at with their needs. As far as state-approved alternative programs, we call them SAPs in our world. Everything's an acronym. Yep. Really, we have to receive permission from the Minnesota Department of Education to have and operate a state-approved alternative program. So there's a process in that we had to actually apply for. Marshall applied years ago, kind of in the inception of it. The first approved, they were first approved in the state of Minnesota in 1987, and it was around 1992 when Marshall brought a learning center or an alternative learning program to Marshall. Really, there are 3 different areas that it can be an alternative learning school. You can have an alternative learning center, an alternative learning program, or be in a contract alternatives. In 2009, they added that additions of alternative learning programs as another option. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, I think, as we go. But really, that's what we're trying to do in an alternative approved program. Specifically to the state of Minnesota, there are only 2 programs in the state of Minnesota that the Department of Education actually has to approve. Alternative schools are one of them, and then so are online schools. You actually have to go through an application program. You have to be approved to run the site, and you have specific guidelines that you have to follow. Everything else really in the school world or system is often run by the governing school boards, and so it's a little unique. There are a few different components that come into play when we're working with an alternative school.
Mm-hmm. So thinking about Maytech, what type of program is Maytech?
So Maytech would fall under what we would call an alternative learning center. The couple of the components with the Alternative Learning Center that are unique to Marshall. We have to work with collaboratively with local districts, so we support our local districts around us as well. Students of other districts come to us for support with the alternative needs. We have to have a middle level program, so we work with our middle school. The middle school programming has to serve whatever our middle school grades are, so Marshall's a 5-8. We have some programming within the middle school that allows for us to be an ALC. And then the third piece is we have to have a comprehensive education program that works and really kind of ties to what our high school is offering with our kids. So what our high school is doing for requirements, we're trying to do as well.
Right. So I think a misconception of Maytech is that it's a different high school. It's really it connects directly with our high school, work very closely with them, and credit requirements are the same. It's the same types of classes, just offered in an alternative way to make that happen. So thinking about that, when you're working with Maytech, what are some things that are happening at Maytech that make it alternative and different than the high school?
Yes, this is an area that we've had a lot of conversations with recently, but right now at Maytech, we really are trying to personalize the learning for the student. When a student comes to us, whether it's from Marshall High School or a surrounding area school, we really want to look at what does that student need, what is their story really. So we sit down and we have different things that might be on the plate for a student. They could be many credits behind, and they're going to have to be in high school longer, beyond their senior year. We have others that might come to us because maybe they've experienced something in their life that it just makes it hard for them to be in a traditional school 8 to 3. So we offer opportunities for some flexible scheduling with some of our students. A big part of being in a alternative school comes with credit recovery. The state mandates there are certain criteria for a student to be referred to an alternative school. And the main top one that often is looked at is the credit deficiency. How are they doing in order to graduate? And so we offer some opportunities for students to do work experience. A lot of times kids will get hung up on the elective credits. They can't get enough elective credits. They struggle with what they like and what they want to do. We also have students that come to us that they have full-time jobs. They are trying to make a living to support themselves or their families. We do sometimes have young families that come that can still meet the requirements to be in high school, but they're trying to raise their own kids. Right. And so allowing for them to also work and earn credits through our work experience is another way to help them catch up with those credits. We also offer opportunities for our programs our students to have a program called Edgenuity. So when students come in, for example, let's say they've taken a chemistry class and they haven't successfully completed the entire course, but they've completed part of it. We can utilize our Edgenuity program to customize the pieces that they're missing so that they don't have to retake an entire course for a whole semester, where we can maybe pare that down to be about a quarter and then get them into another class that they need for the next quarter.
Right.
So those are some of the current things. We've been having conversations about how can we make it more flexible, or what can we do to make it more alternative. In the classroom setting, too, specific to that, we really try to keep our classroom sizes smaller. Depending on the influx of students, we can be anywhere from 10 to 15. We try to stay around the 15, 16 mark, but if need be, we can increase that class size. But we really want that small classroom, small group feel, so students can feel more one-on-one personal attention in the classroom too. A few of our teachers are really working to bring in more hands-on models and do more hands-on activities. And then we also try to focus on life skills. We have a few teachers right now that are doing some life skill stuff, getting the kids cooking. We have a textile arts class where our kids are sewing. We don't always have those opportunities for all of our kids, but we are trying to bring some of those life skills into the classrooms too.
Yeah, good. I want to jump back just a second, and you talked about other schools coming and being part of it and how we partner with other schools. So something that I'm not sure everyone is aware of either, when other schools come to Maytech, they don't actually open enroll in Maytech like they do in others, so they don't become a Marshall student necessarily. They can attend our schools but remain members of their home school, so they can still earn their diploma from their home school. So that's kind of an important piece of the ALC setting as well.
And it can really be both ways, which is kind of nice. We definitely work with our partner schools in that if a student comes to us and they're missing a few pieces, or they just need something different, or something happened in their life, they need a more flexible schedule, we can work with their home districts and have conversations with their counselors and administration too.
Right, some other options for kids. So.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for them.
Good. So let's talk about the credit recovery again. That's kind of what you were talking about at the end. So how, for students that are credit deficient, what would that look like if they're trying to earn extra credit? How do they earn more credit in a day at Maytech?
So our schedule at Maytech currently allows for students to, in our traditional high school, we're a block schedule, so they have 4 classes a day if they're in the true block schedule component. At Maytech, we offer, we have an opportunity for a class throughout the middle of the day. We call it PD, kind of a personal development class, and students can earn an extra credit in the course of a whole year based on those classes. So it's a quarter of a credit every quarter where they can get an extra credit to get caught up. Another piece, like I said, the Edgenuity program really helps us. If a student doesn't need a full course of a semester-long class, we can break that down into halves and move them forward into a different class that they need. We also have the work experience program, which really helps our students. We offer after hours at the high school, and our students at Maytech can attend that too. That's kind of our program to support students before becoming 2 credit deficient. So our high school students can participate in our after hours program. They can take classes throughout each quarter at the high school through Edgenuity as well and earn the credits that they're missing. The students at Maytech can choose that option, or they can choose work experience. As I said, a lot of our students are choosing the work experience option because they are trying to support either themselves or their family. And so each student who signs up for that program can go to work after school, and they can earn a credit, a half a credit each quarter based on the amount of hours that they can work in a quarter time, which is about equivalent to what the hours are in a class for a quarter.
Right. Good. So lots of opportunities for kids to get those credits so they can graduate.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So you talked a little bit earlier about one of the requirements, and we talked about targeted services, and we talked about that at the board meeting the other day too. So let's talk a little bit about targeted services. What is that, and how does that function in the school district? Yeah,
targeted services is actually a program that we can offer because we are an ALC. You have to be approved by the state as an alternative learning center and have a middle level program. If you don't have that middle level program, you wouldn't be called an alternative learning center. We have that, and then we work with our middle school program, which opens the door for us to receive targeted services program funding from the state. What that is that's an opportunity for our school district to support our students in grades K-8. A lot of times when we talk alternative learning, we think high school because we think credit deficiency, and typically grades 9 through 12 is when credits really start to count and matter, and it affects graduation. There are factors that can be looked at, such as performance in the classroom, academic scores on state and district testing. Social emotional learning is a part of that too. With targeted services, we look at those components in our students in grades K through 8. If teachers feel that there's a need in any of those areas, they can make a referral to our program. And our program, to have a targeted services program, you have to offer an after-school and a summer component. So we have an after-school program at all of our sites for K-8, and then we also offer summer school in the summer. So with that, oftentimes we get calls from parents, how do I get my kid in that program? I want them in after school, or I want them in summer school. It is a teacher referral program, so we do have to see some of that at-risk concerns with, like I said, the academics or the social emotional. However, if a parent is seeing those concerns, we do encourage them, talk to your child's teacher, share those concerns with their teacher, and that will open the door for them to really start to dig into the child's needs, and they might be referred to the program. Targeted services, just like alternative learning, it is a family choice program, so we can't mandate you or force you to go, but when we're encouraging that or we're offering that or referring that, we just feel like it'll be helpful to your child to meet their needs, and we really look at each individual child in that process.
Sure, some extra support for students who are maybe struggling during the regular school day.
Absolutely.
And just to clarify for some of the viewers, the targeted services, when we're calling it targeted services, we have the names for those programs. The after school is Project Success, and the summer school we call Jump Start. So a lot of people refer to it as Project Success or Jump Start. So same thing, just
absolutely.
Umbrella it falls under.
I always refer to them as after-school program. It's my world. But yes, Project Success and our Jump Start programs are what we would refer to them in the
same thing.
community. Yeah.
Good. So thinking about if I had a student that I was thinking maybe I want my kid to be in the summer school or in the after-school thing, what would I do?
Well, like I said, it's based on teacher referral. So you'd first want to communicate with your child's classroom teacher. At the middle school, I know they have many teachers, so you may want to reach out to like their advisor or maybe a specific teacher if there's a specific area. Maybe you're concerned about their math scores. Reach out to them and talk to them and ask those questions about what's happening in the classroom. You can always call me at Maytech to have conversations about it. Emily Carroll is our program coordinator, and Mary Kay Thomas is also kind of helping oversee some of the programs too this year with our targeted services. All three of us would be able to help answer questions, but it really starts in the classroom. Having that conversation with the teacher. If the teacher is seeing some of those same concerns, they'll bring it forward to us and they'll make that referral. It's really important that we are ensuring that we're giving the support to the right students, and so we really have to follow our guidelines with that.
Right. Good. Classroom teacher is always a good spot to start.
Yep.
Great. Let's change gears just a little bit. We've talking about the new Career and Technical Institute, this new CTE site a lot, and so that right now some of that programming takes place at Maytech. So we've talked about the credit recovery side of Maytech. Part of Maytech right now is also the welding, the CNA classes, some of that CTE stuff that happens there right now. What's going to happen with that when the Technical and Career Institute opens up? What happens with those classes that are currently part of Maytech?
So when we have the Marshall Career and Technical Education Center up and running, welding and CNA will eventually be out there. There's going to be a little process in that. We'll have CNA in our building for sure for next year. The plans are to move welding over there. Those classes were originally embedded into Maytech as part of a way to offer more of those types of classes for our students, especially in the Maytech world. And so now as we're moving forward with this new adventure, those programs will be moved out to our new site, and our students will still be available to take those classes. Students from the high school and Maytech will be able to sign up for those, to register for those, and we'll get them out there. Some kids will have the opportunity to drive out there if they can drive. Otherwise, we're having conversations about how can we make sure and ensure that all of our kids still have access to this. So, like I said, welding will go out first. We're still working on plans, and we've got to see some of the drawings of how the building's going to look. Hopefully construction can start yet this spring. And then welding will be moved out there to start in the fall. And then CNA, I believe the plan is still to maybe start the following year with CNA out there.
Right, at least during the year. So that'd be nice to get those a location we can expand and spread out and do those programs and do even more with those than we're doing now, and have room for additional programs as part of CTE. And you're right now some of that, we have high school kids and Maytech students participating in that. We'll put that in a location of its own, and then Maytech is still going to exist. I know I've had community members say, so Maytech's moving? No, Maytech's not moving. The alternative school is still going to exist. It's still going to be focused on ALC and the credit recovery piece, so that still is going to be part of it. So thank you for clarifying that.
There are a lot of questions around that, and we're doing some great things and having some great conversations moving forward with what's going to happen at Maytech. And even these transitions for welding and CNA to move opens up some opportunities for some stuff for us at Maytech as well. So we're excited about all the potential that all of this is opening up on all the levels. But yes, Maytech is going to still be there. We're still going to help kids on our side of things.
Right, just expanding some opportunities. My last question for you today, Amanda. If I asked you to share one thing that you wish people knew or understood about Maytech, what would you share? I put you on the spot about that one.
You really did. This one's catching me off guard. No, I think that's a great question. I think a lot of people, sometimes there's a misconception about Maytech. Maytech is a great school with a lot of great things happening for students that just the traditional way just isn't for them. I think a lot of times alternative schools in general get kind of this label of, the kids are naughty or bad, or they're always causing problems or behaviors, and that's not the case. They just need something different and a different way to learn. I would like people to really know that there are great things coming in and happening at Maytech, and if you're have questions or concerns, you're always welcome to come in and visit. I'd be happy to give people tours to see what really is taking place in our building. We're doing some really cool things with the things that we have, and our kids are really starting to take ownership and make their school their community. And so it's been a lot of fun the last 3 years really working to build that and maybe change that up a little bit. So I want people to know that there's a lot of great things happening at Maytech too.
Right, and it's not as, I think you're right, we hear some of that perspective that it's a school with behaviors. It's not a school for behaviors, it's a school for students who are credit deficient, and that's just a misconception people have, so that's good.
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining today. And
Thanks for having me.
Thank you everyone for listening and learning more about alternative education. Thank you, Amanda, for all that you do for our students who are maybe most at risk in town. So
Thank you.